Good morning and welcome to Music Sunday. Since we have so many wonderful musicians here at the front, we'll be doing joys and concerns in the back today. So if you'd like to light a candle, or if you have a joy or concern you'd like shared, then please go to the back at any point during the service and you can do that. I would also like to lift up that we'll hold our applause during all of this beautiful music today, and we can show our appreciation as the youth taught us, like this, or like this, or like this. Now let's please take a moment to greet one another and say good morning.
Woohoo! Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you. I'm glad I did this. I have do the thing. Wait for the thing.
The flame on a chalice, the flicker of a candle, the lamps of our open faces brought near. In this place of silence and celebration, solemnity and music, we make a sanctuary and name our home.
Hi. I don't usually talk at this point in the service. Hi. This is where the story for all ages would be. And we're going to tell you a story because not all of us came to Unitarian Universalism when we were little, like some of you all. Some of us found this church when we were adults. And so we're going to sing you a song that tells the story of what we found when we came to our first Unitarian Universalist congregations. It's called When I First Came In, and it's by Unitarian Universalist composer Eva Kendrick. We'll now sing any children that want to participate in the summer activities. Out to the playground. Meet Marguerite in the back of the sanctuary with the song in the inside back cover of your hymnal.
Good morning. My name is Jaie, and I'm a member of this congregation. It's my pleasure to welcome you here this morning in the sanctuary, and also those joining us online to worship this morning. In order to reach a wider community than those able to be physically present on Sunday morning, portions of this service are live streamed and available on YouTube and our website at thefuun.org. Before I continue, let me remind you to silence your cell phones. As Unitarian Universalists, our spiritual paths vary, but in this congregation, we have made a covenant together. We affirm our interdependence, celebrate our differences, and work for justice. We deepen our relationships as we create a compassionate, welcoming community, nurture spiritual growth, and act on our values in the broader world. I want to extend a special welcome to any visitors worshiping with us this morning. We ask you to wear the paper name tags because it helps us to get to know you better. If you are seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you may find it here. Whether you are new to Unitarian Universalism or visiting from another congregation, we invite you to stop by the welcome table after the service to have any questions answered. People become members of this congregation by signing the membership book and supporting the church with their time and finances. If you're considering joining the church, please talk to our assistant minister, Holly Miller. Following the service, we hope you will enjoy coffee and fellowship in the social area, where you will find information about current opportunities for engagement and reflection. There are a number of announcements in the weekly bulletin, which I hope you will take home and read, and I have a couple more. The annual congregational meeting is next Sunday, June 10th at 9 a.m. in place of the first service. Please come to establish a quorum to vote on the slates of new elected leadership positions, our next fiscal year operating budget, bylaws changes, and other issues, as well as your presentations that apprise you of significant developments aimed at invigorating our church. Come hear what's in the offing and coming down the pike and how important your input is for our future. And come celebrate the bestowing of the Virginia Grantham Award. What could be better than that? The usual Sunday service childcare will be provided. And finally, after the service, volunteers will be at the exits to accept donations to our special music fund. Your generosity allows us to have guest musicians such as the talented quartet with us today. Thank you.
We have each come here today with joys and concerns that we bring with us from our daily lives. We come with fear and hopes, our sadness and our relief. We come here to form a community that holds one another, that weaves together our hope and our despair. At this time, I'd like to invite forward our lay minister, Mary Hawk, with the joys and concerns that have been written out to share. Want to lift up each and every person in this congregation, knowing that struggles and relief live in all of our hearts. We lift up those who are mourning losses, who are worrying about money or letting go of futures that they had longed hoped for. We lift up those in our pews who are celebrating new possibilities and great joy, exciting jobs, growing children, new life phases. May the healing song today be a balm to each of you, whatever you carry in your heart. The hope of this church is to share a journey of spiritual growth and live out our faith in the world. Each week we take an offering that allows us to enact that faith and growth, and we share that offering with a community organization whose work we believe in. We are currently sharing our plate with Tennessee Interfaith Power and Light, and half of the loose cash collected this month will go to fund their work in our community. Before we take up our offering today, I'd like to invite forward Paul Stentz. He is a United Methodist minister and the president of Tennessee Interfaith Power and Light, and he's going to share with us about his organization.
Good morning. It's good to be with you today. This is a great congregation. I've known about you and been here off and on over the years, just very occasionally, but you all do wonderful work in the community, and it's good to be here today. And I want to thank you for welcoming me here and for Tennessee Interfaith Power and Light being the recipients of this month's sharing of the plate. So grateful for that. Tennessee Interfaith Power and Light, or TIPL for short, is the state chapter of the National Interfaith Power and Light organization, which was started in 2000. From its inception, the primary focus of Interfaith Power and Light has been to, one, raise the alarm about the catastrophic impacts of global warming. Second, to educate congregations about how to reduce their carbon footprint. And third, to advocate for public policies that move the nation and the world toward a clean energy economy. A common concern shared by the many faith traditions that are part of Interfaith Power and Light is that of social justice. So another key component of our work has been to lift up how climate change is impacting and will impact even more of the poor of the world first and hardest. There are now Interfaith Power and Light chapters in over 40 states with more than 20,000 congregations as faith partners. Here in Tennessee, we have 42 faith partner congregations, including 4 Unitarian Universalist churches. We are growing, and it is our hope that next week at your annual meeting that you will vote to become our next faith partner. There are 3 main things that Tennessee Interfaith Power and Light does. First, we bring together people from various faith traditions to share best practices for earth care in our places of worship. As an example of this, we had a day-long conference last fall that offered 13 different earth care workshops that had 150 participants from over 40 congregations in the Nashville area. Second, we either lead or help to organize public witnesses, such as an upcoming March for Climate on September 8th, and there will be more information about that, and an annual climate vigil and interfaith worship service. And third, we work in coalition with other environmental organizations to advocate at the local, state, and national levels for policies that reduce greenhouse gas emissions and shift society in a clean energy direction. Most recently, we have been doing a lot of advocacy related to the Tennessee Valley Authority. We unsuccessfully fought against a rate structure change that disincentivizes rooftop solar installations and adversely affects low-income households. And we successfully lobbied for greater TVA expenditures on energy efficiency measures for low-income customers. This has led to a $1 million pilot program here in Nashville titled Home Energy Uplift that will provide efficiency upgrades for at least 125 homes. So, if you would like to learn more about Tennessee Interfaith Power and Light, please join Scott Weaver and me in Classroom A during the 10:30 hour this morning, and also during the fellowship time right after the service. I will be out in the fellowship area. So thanks again for your very concrete support through the Share the Plate offering, and I look forward to working together in the future. Thank you.
borrow Sarah Green's words, I'd like to invite you to finish arriving. We musicians meditate a little differently than other people, and I'd like to invite you to allow a couple of deep breaths as we enter into this time of musical meditation.
According to our own Henry David Thoreau, in a world of peace and love, music would be the universal language. I agree with this, but I would take it a step further, that music is a universal language even in an unjust and turbulent world. How many of us have felt the catharsis of belting out a breakup song or the power of a freedom cry? While words are powerful conveyors of thoughts or meanings, music can communicate those feelings to a depth that reaches beyond the words it carries. We even know that it affects our brains differently. People with dementia will still respond to and remember the music of their youth long past when they can recall names or faces or places. Music reaches inside of us in ways we can't always understand or predict, speaking to us on levels beyond words. Our music today has been written by Unitarian Universalists of both past and present, from those such as Reverend Shelton, who have graced this very pulpit, to the likes of Emerson and Sarton, who lived and wrote and died long before our tradition became what it is now. These words were written on different continents, in different political climates, for different purposes, from personal letters to poetry to hymns. I think that this variety of words takes us on a journey, showing us the heartbeat of our movement at different times and places. Hearing all of the beautiful music here today, I am struck by the thread of gritty hope that seems to run through so much of it. Our offertory today, "Be Grateful, My Soul," comes from a letter that Norbert Capek wrote to his daughter while he was on trial by the Gestapo. Norbert was the creator of our flower communion at his Unitarian church in Prague, and he had chosen to stay in Europe despite knowing how vulnerable he was as World War II approached. He must have been afraid, knowing that his fate was in the hands of violent people who mistrusted him. He may have felt guilt and sadness that he hadn't returned safely to the United States as his wife had done. And yet, he wrote to his daughter, "Even though 1,000 times disappointed and fallen in the fight, even though faced with a world that now seems worthless, I have lived life amidst eternity. Be grateful, my soul. Be grateful, my soul. I have lived amidst eternity." Capek is demonstrating here a raw, hurting, healing kind of hope that we see all throughout our music here today. He is not pretending that everything is fine. He's not even specifically hoping that things will turn out all right for him, that he'll survive. He is instead finding hope in his place in the much broader continuum of existence. His gratitude for living amidst eternity shows how he finds peace in rooting himself in a larger picture, in a longer story. Though the world may seem worthless then, though he is disappointed, though he does not survive to see change, he understands that he is a part of something that will continue into a future that is as yet unimagined. Now, I've always appreciated this gritty, dark version of hope. It feels real to me. Give me the hope and gratitude of Norbert Capek, a man who ministered to the other prisoners in Dachau and led our flower communion with them in their confinement. A man whose life, but not his legacy, ended there. I trust his ability to persevere, to find the longer arc of justice. I do not always trust the fluffy hopes and that everything will turn out all right, with no context and no ability to acknowledge suffering and despair. That is not the music that sings to me. Our call to worship today by the Unitarian poet May Sarton compels us to come out of the dark earth, here where the minerals glow in their stone cells, deeper than seed or birth. This is dark, messy imagery. What does it mean for something to be deeper than seed or birth? These are symbols of growth and of possibility. So what does it mean to be more primal than the beginning? Is she encouraging us to come from that place even before creation, of raw, unimagined materials, of endless possibility? This call towards our origins, to go further back than we can even comprehend, harkens to that same primal call of music. It harkens to the messy process of creation, to the dark places of healing. Music has such ability to heal us precisely because it is able to go with us into the places that are dark and messy, the places that we don't always want to show other people, that we may not even want to acknowledge to ourselves. We can allow to be gently touched by music such as this. And the truth is that to heal, we have to face the wound. To achieve justice, we have to look at the injustice. Hope and healing are most meaningful when they are tied to the pain that needs it most. Even our story for all ages this morning, when I first came in, is a hymn of relief and joy that hints at finding something that had been missing. The words can point to our own entry into this or other communities, of the uncertainty and hope all mixed together. But it is not the words, but the music that brings the vibrancy to this song. If I just say the word joy, you might not feel any joy just because I said that. But I'm guessing that our choir's beautiful singing about it did awake at least a little bit of joy in some of you. Sort of like an emotional onomatopoeia, creating the feeling instead of merely naming it. That joy speaks to the relief that composer Eva Kendrick felt at finding a home in a UU community such as ours, at the fears she was able to put aside when she found her people, at the joy of being herself. Now, in a little bit, we're going to hear a beautiful anthem. And this anthem speaks to how music comes from an entangled place of joy and fear and relief and so many things all at once. The words come from Emerson, and his words give life to how joy and wisdom come forth from everywhere, not just the shiny, tidy places. And I would like you all to do an experiment with me today. So I'm going to read the words that we're about to hear in their original poem form, and I will talk to you about their meaning and their depth. And then, when the choir sings, I invite you to experience the difference between reading and singing, how the words wash over you differently in song, how they invite you to different places and touch you in a different way. Emerson writes, "Let me go wherever I will. I bear a sky-born music still. It sounds from all things old. It sounds from all things young. From all that's fair, from all that's foul, peals out a cheerful song. It is not only in the rose, it is not only in the bird, not only where the rainbow glows, nor in the song of woman heard, but in the darkest, meanest things, there always, always something sings. 'Tis not in the high stars alone, nor in the cup of budding flowers, nor in the redbreast's mellow tone, nor in the bow that smiles and showers, but in the mud and scum of things, there always, always something sings." Emerson speaks to us of how sky-born music comes from all things, that everything from scum to rainbows is singing to us. I love this. I love this because Emerson is showing us several things. First, he's using the metaphor of singing to illustrate that primal, emotional communication that we experience with the world all around us. He's tipping his hat to how music can say things beyond its words, can reach emotions exceeding what we can articulate. He's also showing us how this sky-born music is not limited to coming from what is pretty or neat. That beautiful, hopeful, sky-born music can come from mud and from the darkest and meanest of things. It harkens back to Capek's gratitude in the midst of his fate hanging in the balance, that something sings even in the harshest of circumstances. These brave, poetic assertions let us know that there will always be hope waiting for us, that there is a balm in Gilead if we look for it, that there is singing if we will listen. I now invite you to listen to that singing, to let Emerson's words find greater depth in your soul.
The words to the chalice extinguishing are printed at the bottom of your order of service. Please join me. We extinguish this flame.
We're continuing with the experimenting today, so just go with it. We are sneaking in one more Unitarian poet today, the African-American abolitionist Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, and I'll be reading part of her poem, Songs for the People. Let me make songs for the people, songs for the old and the young, songs to stir like a battle cry wherever they are sung. Not for the clashing of sabers, for carnage nor for strife, but songs to thrill the hearts of men with more abundant life. Music to soothe all its sorrow, till war and crime shall cease, and the hearts of men grown tender, girdle the world with peace.
Or in spirit, or as you are so moved, and join in singing our closing hymn, number 1014, Answering the Call of Love by Reverend Jason Shelton. Number 1014 in the turquoise hymnal. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community or the fire of commitment. You may be seated as we sing the benediction. You have to stay standing.
And on that beautiful note, our service here today is over. May our service continue again renewed.